Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jay Kohn. Janelle is off tonight. Those affected by millions of dollars in state budget cuts might finally see some relief. This as a Helena judge orders a halt to budget cuts for providers of mental health and other human services, cuts that were prompted by a downturn in state revenue. Now the Bullock administration is preparing to restore perhaps as much as $30 million of cuts to state human service programs. And today, those who benefit from and operate those programs in Helena to testify as to the effects of the cuts and where they feel they should be restored. MTN's Mike Dennison tonight has the story.
The cuts began late last year in response to the state's budget crisis and continued in January, affecting a wide array of health programs for the poor and disabled. Now, state revenue has bounced back, and some cuts will be restored. But as State Senator Diane Sands of Missoula said Monday, it's not all good news.
Let's not kid ourselves. You cannot make whole the programs that were devastated. This is about moving forward. This is one of your opportunities to tell the department and us how you would like to see the limited funding that's going to go back into this restoration process expended.
Some of the deepest cuts came in mental health programs. Officials with local mental health centers told a legislative committee Monday that funding for many services should be restored or revised and increased to keep them viable.
We serve almost 15,000 people. If we end up having to close our doors, I don't know where those 15,000 people are going to go. And we're, to be honest, several of us are at that point. We're out of reserves, we're out of savings, we're laying people off.
Dozens of people testified Monday before the Children, Families, Health and Human Services Interim Committee at a special hearing in the Capitol. The committee's chair, State Senator Mary Cafaro of Helena, said she hopes the testimony Monday will do more than just inform the governor on restoring vital programs.
Though we can't do anything now, today, we certainly need this information for the session, which is right around the corner. In the session, we'll have more to say about what happens.
The Bullock administration will decide soon where to restore some of these cuts made to mental health and other local human services. But what we heard Monday is that it may take a lot more in the future to get the system where it needs to be. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
And Mike says the Bullock administration is saying it will outline its budget decisions by the 1st of September. In Wyoming, a woman is dead and her husband in the hospital after he apparently killed her, then tried to kill himself. The Park County Sheriff's Office in Cody says it was alerted by a Florida man who told them his father, who lives in Wapiti, Wyoming, had just called him and said he had shot his wife and had taken numerous pills with the intent of taking his own life. When deputies arrived at the residence just west of Wapiti, they found Donna Klingbeil and her husband both still alive. Donna had suffered a gunshot wound and was flown to St. Vincent Healthcare here in Billings, where she later died of her injuries. Dennis Klingbeil taken to Cody Regional Health. Dennis Klingbeil's condition is unknown tonight, but we do know that his hospital room is under guard by a Park County Sheriff's deputy while the investigation into the case proceeds. A Bozeman man who's accused of killing his wife with a frying pan changes his plea. Jay Collins killed his wife on New Year's Eve in 2016, initially telling police that his wife had walked away after the two had argued. Later, he admitted he repeatedly hit her with a cast iron frying pan, then cut her throat. Authorities found her body and evidence of the crime inside a sleeping bag in the bed of Collins' truck. Now that Collins has entered into a plea deal, the state will recommend a sentence of 102 years. The government star witness took the witness stand today in the bank fraud and tax evasion trial of former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. Paula Reed is at the courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia.
Today, Richard Gates became the first member of the Trump campaign to admit to crimes on the witness stand. Special counsel Robert Mueller charged Gates and Paul Manafort with dozens of counts related to their lobbying efforts on behalf of foreign governments. But Gates agreed to flip on his former boss in exchange for leniency. Prosecutors quickly got to the heart of the case. Did you commit crimes with Mr. Manafort? Asked the prosecutor. Yes, Gates replied. Gates said he conspired with Manafort to falsify tax returns, knowingly failed to report foreign bank accounts, and failed to register Manafort as a foreign agent. Gates also admitted he embezzled from his boss, something Manafort's attorneys have alleged for months. I added money to expense reports and created expense reports that were not accurate, he said, to pad his salary by several $100,000. There was no mention of President Trump or his campaign, but the trial is the first big public test for the special counsel, and the White House says the president feels his former campaign chair is being treated unfairly.
Certainly the president's been clear he thinks Paul Manafort's been treated unfairly.
The special counsel's case hinges on the testimony of Rick Gates, and the prosecutors are asking the jury to believe someone who just admitted to half a dozen crimes on the witness stand. Gates is expected to continue his testimony tomorrow. Paula Reed, CBS News, Alexandria, Virginia.
Closer to home, if the federal government proceeds with plans to lift protection for grizzly bears on the northern continental divide, Montana would manage a population of around 800 bears. That's one of the objectives outlined in a newly released policy for the state's management of grizzly bears that will be reviewed now by the Fish, Wildlife and Parks Commission in Helena later this week. And although there is no specific step to delist the grizzlies in areas around Glacier National Park and the Bob Marshall Wilderness, most federal and state managers are preparing for it. They say the grizzly population is increasing, evidenced by the number of bears that frequent the prairies east of Montana's Rocky Mountain front. Now FWP has released a proposed rule setting certain objectives for the northern grizzlies. Among those objectives, maintaining at least 800 bears in the northern continental divide ecosystem and making sure there are grizzly sows with cubs in the 16,000 square mile area. The proposed rule also sets standards for keeping grizzlies healthy, male grizzlies, they say. The state's rules are what Montana will need to assume responsibility for grizzlies if and when those bears are delisted. On to the weather scene now. Bob McGuire is here. Bob, we know a lot of people gearing up for Montana Fair as usual. They need to be prepared to deal with the heat as well.
It is really going to start to get hot, especially towards the end of the week. Let me show you what we have for you. You can see this big ridge of high pressure there. That's down in the Four Corner states. That's going to slowly but make its way into the Great Basin area in Nevada. And eventually by Thursday, 2:30, it's starting to make its way into western Montana. Look at that. That's the high heat there. Then by the time Friday gets here, it's covering the entire state. It's going to be pretty toasty. Then after that, it looks like by Friday night into Saturday, the thing just kind of fades away. So here's what we can expect to see here in the Billings area out of this. It's going to be 90 degrees tomorrow, up to 92 on Wednesday, 96 on Thursday, 98 by Friday, then Saturday 97, and we cool it back down to 89 on Sunday. And from there, it actually gets a little bit cooler, probably more like into the low 80s as we head into next week. We'll have more on that coming your way in a few more minutes. Jay?
Thank you, Bob. Cooler temperatures this weekend helping out in the fight against the Medicine Man wildfire burning west of Billings. That fire estimated now at about 550 acres. The good news, it's about 85% contained. This fire broke out last Thursday evening. It's believed to have been sparked by lightning. As of this evening, 25 people still manning the fire lines there. Yellowstone County Interim Disaster and Emergency Services Coordinator Kent O'Donnell says the day's cooler weather did help put the fire to bed. That's before temperatures are expected to heat up towards the middle of this coming week. A Northern California wildfire is now the largest that state's ever seen. The Mendocino complex of fires has scorched more than 283,000 acres. It's one of 16 wildfires burning in California that have forced the evacuation of more than 44,000 people. We have the latest for you tonight from Chris Martinez.
The Mendocino complex fire is now the largest fire in California history. Firefighting planes are painting the hillsides red with flame retardant, hoping to stop the onslaught of destruction. Crews say the weather is not helping.
The higher temperatures, we're going back up to the high 90s. It's making for some extreme fire behavior.
At least 15 other big fires are burning in California, with a record 14,000 firefighters on the front lines.
It is pretty dramatic.
The latest popped up in Cleveland National Forest Monday, darkening the sky with a mushroom cloud of black smoke.
And up you go.
Helicopter crews had to rescue several hikers who were trapped by the fast-moving flames. The car fire near Redding claimed its seventh life. Utility worker Jairus Ayeta died in a vehicular accident while trying to restore power in dangerous terrain. And tourists are being kept out of Yosemite National Park indefinitely. Firefighters say the blaze there got away from them over the weekend, jumping several roads.
Until those conditions improve, it's unsafe and we cannot reopen the valley.
President Trump tweeted criticism of California's Governor Jerry Brown, saying he must allow the free flow of the vast amounts of water coming from the north to firefighters. But the Mendocino fire is burning near Clear Lake, the largest freshwater lake entirely within the state of California. And CAL FIRE's assistant chief says crews have always had the water they've needed to fight these fires. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And word tonight that additional firefighters from Australia and New Zealand arrived in California to help out in the fight today. Still to come on tonight's 10 o'clock news, whether it's the fun, the food, or perhaps friends. Montana Fair is a summer tradition that never seems to go out of style. We'll look back in our Q2 Rewind series. And later in sports, Rockies football guys now ranked top 20 in the nation. Scott Hears from the Battling Bears coming up.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Kohn and Janelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.